Welcome to the Heal Black Joy podcast presents Soul Food and War. I'm Lola Troy, the host and curator for Heal Black Joy, the learning platform for our community to heal our Black joy with tangible and attainable programs for the mind, body, soul, relationships, and businesses. And in today's conversation, you guys, we are talking about be bold, be brave, be confident in education. Okay. My guest tonight is Douglas Whatley. As president and co-founder of Sparks United, an after-school enrichment program company,
Yes.
Doug positively impacts over 1,200 children annually. Holding a master's degree in theology, Douglas serves as a minister of music and has spent several years in youth ministry, having also authored a best-selling workbook on gratefulness. Douglas furthers his message of gratitude, empathy, empowerment, and care for others. Doug is excited to lead with strength while serving our amazing Rome, Georgia community. So please welcome Doug Whatley, you guys.
Yay! Hooray for me!
Yay!
Oh wow! Standing ovation! Oh wow! All these people in my house watching. It's awesome. Hey there.
How are you, sir?
Oh man, I'm feeling amazing. I'm feeling absolutely amazing. How are you feeling?
I'm good. We're going to have so much fun tonight.
Hey, we're already having fun because we're together.
I know.
That was the hard part.
This is going to be interesting. This is going to be fun. So, first of all, let me just talk about how we met, because I think that would be a good way to bring this all full circle, because this is a full circle moment for the both of us.
It really is.
We met in the music. People that know me outside of Heal Black Joy know me to be a singer, but people that know me inside of Heal Black Joy don't know anything about me singing.
I love
which
it.
Is hilarious. But when I say I'm an artist formerly known as the singer,
Yes,
I was singing at one of my dear friends' 40th birthday parties, and I asked a friend of mine to accompany me, and he was booked. And so he was just like, I have the perfect person that you would gel with that's going to play for you. And his name is Doug Whatley. Right. And I was so like nervous initially because I never met you, didn't know anything about you. And then the moment I met you, we just absolutely gelled, and it was just a fun night. We had an amazing performance.
We had the time of our life. We had the time of our life. Man, you know what? We actually, you know how people say that, like, we had the time of our life, but we really actually, it's coming back to my memory more and more now. We actually really had a lot of fun that night.
We did. We had a wonderful time. But we both have gone on to do bigger and better things, right?
Oh, yes. But let's go back to that night. We were hanging out in the green.
In the green room?
Acting a fool, man. Oh, my gosh. It's just like, it's kind of, you know, how it just starts coming back to you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Man, it was a pleasure hanging out with you that night. But, yes, thank you. And you know what? For real, I'm sorry. I'm trying to send this to my mom because, you know, I gotta let my biggest fan know what I got going on.
You gotta let your biggest fan know that you are in the building.
Yeah, because if I don't, we'll talk about a few hours about it later on tonight. But yes, I'm so grateful for you to even have invited me or trusted me enough, like, to put your voice in my hands to you know, to help undergird and help support. Man, that's a lot of trust, and people forget that. I think, deviate for a second, or just kind of little rabbit trail. I think musicians forget that how important they are, but how responsible they got to be. You know what I mean? Because they're carrying something always. They're carrying a voice. They're carrying a melody. They're carrying emotions, and we forget that. And so we're like, I'll just show up and play. I'll just get my money, get out. I'll keep professional. Well, part of professionalism is really being able to connect with the artist so that you can create great product, man. We forget that. We forget that. And so we make it a chore instead of a blessing.
Oh, wow. I want to speak about this blessing that you are the president of and the co-founder of Sparks United, because I think that's what this is about. This season is about being bold, being brave, being confident in all aspects of life. This season is dedicated to my late coach, Latanya Tibbs, because she lost her battle with cancer in July, but she lived her life so boldly, so bravely, so confidently. And it's an ode to her. This season is specifically an ode to her. And I know that you, not only being an artist per se, but just, or being a musician.
I'm gonna say, yeah, I already said.
I mean, you are, like, you literally are. And you just said something that was so poignant when it comes to our creativity and having a voice. And I think with you leading the way in after school care and education for children, you had to be bold, you had to be brave, you had to be confident in creating and co-founding Sparks United. So let's just give a little history about Sparks United. Sparks United is a program dedicated to inspiring children to develop a healthy and balanced lifestyle, creative intuitions, mental agility, and social fluency in a safe and nurturing environment. And you have these programs, which I absolutely love: yoga, podcast, journalism, drama, piano, drums, art, choir, culinary, as well as dance. When public schools right now are struggling to have or maintain the arts in school, how fulfilling has that been for you and the kids who are part of your program?
Oh man, I'm a product of all of that stuff, right?
Me too.
I'm a product of that. So I was able, when I was younger, though we weren't. Well, let me go back. I'm from Rome, Georgia, and Rome, Georgia is a great place to live. And I would say Rome, Georgia is a great place to live if you have money. Like if you have money, you're gonna have a great time, right?
Right.
We weren't rich people, and my mom found a way for me to be a part of everything. She thought it was very important for me to really learn as I go, learn as I grow. You know what I mean? Learn as I experience. And I think that's what we're doing here. We're giving them, and I'm sorry, my dogs have started going crazy. Uh, we're giving them experiences that they may not have access to. That's super fulfilling. I have one student that when I first got there, he hated music, hated it so much. And I made all the kids in the facility go through the program. Like, you got to play, you got to touch it at least 30 minutes when I'm here. You got to tinker around, learn how to play anything.
Right.
And so now I see him, and now he plays the trumpet. Now he plays the baritone. And he's like, and he shows me every instrument. As he picks up another instrument, he comes to me and shows me, hey, I'm doing this now. I'm doing that now. So how fulfilling is it? It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's the best feeling.
Yeah.
We're changing lives. Piece by
I
piece.
love it. I love it. I love that you are taking it by storm, because I think a lot of times in public schools, they're either cutting programs, they're cutting the arts out, or they are diminishing the amount of time that kids spend in the arts and things outside of like your normal core classes that they have to take. And I think that when you are a part of the arts and when you don't, you might find a lot of times kids find their voice in art.
Absolutely.
Right. Everybody is not a mathematician. Everybody is not a scientist. Sometimes they find it in poetry. Sometimes they find it in painting, singing, playing an instrument, the art of culinary skills, of being a cook or being a baker. There's just so many things, alternative methods to education that bring forth a more well-rounded student. Wouldn't you think that?
Oh man, you're taking the words right out of my mouth. Every time I want to jump in, you say the thing that I really want to say. I think that's the truth. We're no knocking public schools. They do what they got to do. Everybody has a boss. Everybody has someone telling them what got to happen. And these teachers are doing amazing jobs, working in the parameters in which they have to work sometimes.
Yeah.
However, we both know that everyone learns differently, and what motivates you may not motivate me. What inspires you to learn may not inspire me to learn. So having a way to connect in a different way, having a way to get your brain moving and become passionate about something that sparks better communication, that sparks collaborative thinking, being able to start and finish a thing. That's really what we're about.
Yeah, I love it. There's been a lot of research, speaking of that, that has come out lately that revealed that a lot of children of color have been deemed either troubled or angry. And when kids just haven't assimilated to that dominant culture, whatever that is in school, because a lot of times they don't see people, they don't see teachers or administrators that look like them, right?
Mm-hmm.
They might just simply learn differently. How has your program created ways to address children who learn differently or have been mislabeled as trouble? Because, you know, we've seen in the news as of recent where the little kids were sitting there and the teachers were separating younger Black male kids, you know, already labeling them trouble, already labeling them angry, already labeling them difficult, when, like you said, they just might have a different learning style. They might not learn just by sitting in a seat. There's got to be some creative ways to capture certain students. So how has your program created ways to address children like that? And is that information shared with the parents so that then they can go back to the school like, hey, in this after school program, you know, little Johnny is doing yoga, he's doing, you know, he's taking up instruments, he's
Mm-hmm.
learning how to cook, he's excelling in these areas, and they're not seeing the same thing that you're seeing in the public school system. Are you sharing that with those parents that have to go to school sometimes because their child has been labeled as troubled?
In many cases, we're working collaboratively with the school system.
That's amazing.
When they're showing up, we're doing an assessment. We're learning what their learning difficulties are, or what people believe that their difficulties are, and then we're giving them space. What I believe wholeheartedly in, in teaching through the culture. Use the culture to help give the message. Find out where their interests lie, and then use that to give them everything that you need them to know.
When you say teaching through the culture, give me an example of what teaching through the culture looks like.
Teaching through the culture looks like, let them look at people who look like them sometimes. Let them talk to people who talk like them sometimes. Let them talk to people who have maybe a similar background. Let us use the language. Let us use the aesthetics. Let us use the culture around us, those things that are around us that they see every day in their community, to be the catalyst of a conversation, to be the catalyst of a thought, to spark something that they didn't know was possible in the parameters that they're already given. I think that Black kids, and I think, well, I'm a Black kid. I know I was bad, but I think Black kids do have a problem learning in a culture that is not always for them. I think same thing with Latin kids. I think it's hard to create a culture that connects to everybody. So that, no matter how good you do it, there's so many subcultures around us that from two streets over is a totally different world. It feels like sometimes, you know what I mean? So we're finding ways to find that community's place, that community's idea of love. I always say, like, find how they feel love, how they communicate love, and we teach through that. Find how they communicate excitement, and we teach through that. And that's what we do.
I love that. I know you said your mom, you know, had you in everything as a child, but you didn't necessarily have all the financial resources. With that being said, there are a lot of kids that just don't have those resources to, you know, from their parents to be a part of certain programs at school. So it's important that you have, you know, a Sparks United that is available to kids, and it allows them the opportunity to be able to, you know, be a part of things that they would not normally be a part of, and that you're creating community, you know, even though they might not financially be able to afford it, their family might not be able to afford it, but you're creating community, I see. And I think that's awesome. How has that been in Rome for you, Rome, Georgia. How has that been?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Most of our program is in Metro Atlanta. Most, if not all of our program right now is in Metro Atlanta. We've been working to move more to Rome. I would love to move into Rome. I would love. If anybody's listening in Rome, I want to help everywhere. Put me in any space. But my program has been in Metro Atlanta. So the beauty of the program is that we do see underprivileged kids. But guess what? We see kids that are not underprivileged. We see everything. We see everything from K to 12. And it looks different in every facility. It looks different everywhere we go. One thing I love about my mom, shout out to my mama, I love you, that she said, I wanted you to have a skill. I want you to have a skill that you can always fall back on. And so she made me learn the piano. I didn't have a choice. I had to learn the piano.
Me too.
That. You too? You know.
Yeah, but I promise you this, I'm not as good as you. I promise.
Oh man, but you know what? Your mom wasn't strict enough. That's all. Because I had to play there. I had to, my granddad was a pastor, so I had to play on Sunday, just beating the piano, just making a noise. And they allowed that space for me to grow. But it taught me discipline. It showed me how to start and finish a thing. By the time I was 12, I was a minister of music at a church. Why would they let a little kid lead them? I do not know. But it taught me how to work collaboratively. It taught me how to communicate ideas. And the same things that I'm working to instill in these kids, whether you're going to go to college or whether you're just going to work at a mill, or whether you be just start your own business, whatever you want to be and wherever you want to go, these skills work. You know what I mean?
I love that, because growing up, like you said, thank God for our parents and our grandparents that exposed us to so many things, especially the arts. Both of my parents were educators, and I was very much so involved in everything at my church. Like I was involved in every, we had to get up and do speeches, whatever that was, singing, ushering, we did everything, right? But it also teaches you those skills of discipline. It teaches you team building skills where you have to be around other people and you have to have a collaborative effort when it comes to being a part of a group, right? And then, even though I was really, really good in math and science, I went to school for engineering, almost actually flunked out of school, to be perfectly honest with you, because I wasn't interested in that.
Yeah.
My interest was the arts, which I ended up getting a degree in music because I sang, right? However, when I go back to my childhood and I go back to where I am now and I connect the dots, it has always been a part of my life to be a vessel. It has always been a part of my life to be able to want to make people feel good, want to use my voice, whether it's in singing or speaking or whatever it is, or training, to use that voice to educate people, to make people feel a certain way, right? To move the needle. That's what it's always been about.
I love that.
So yeah, shout out to mom. Shout out to mom.
Well, here's what you said, and here's what I want to lean in on, is that some things are not taught, they're caught. Woo! And when you're serving, some of that gets in you at some point. You know what I mean? Like a servant heart just starts to come out of you. When you're learning, I'm so blessed because through all that, my mom instilled in me a curious heart to try things, to fail forward, to finish what you start, no matter what. Like I'm grateful for those things. And again, all Sparks United is birthed really from a friend and from my mom saying, hey, you can teach them what you do. Those things that you have inside of you, they got to be given forward. They got to be pushed forward. You know what I mean?
Oh man, I love that.
Oh,
I want to get into this studies about the success in being a part or participating in after-school programs. So studies have shown that participation in after-school programs is influencing academic performances in a number of ways. And in those ways, you've got including better attitudes towards schools, higher school attendance rates, and lower tardiness rates, less disciplinary action such as suspension, lower dropout rates, which is huge in the state of Georgia, where we've got alarming dropout rates, and I'm sure it's like that in several other states. Better performances in schools, improve homework completion, and deeper engagement in learning. And that is all attributed to kids being a part of after school programs such as Sparks United. So with that being said, I know that you have that core thing with your students. Like, when you're talking to your students and when you're engaging and your coaches are engaging with your students, what are those things that they say to those kids that not only keep them engaged, but also hold them accountable for how they are when they are at school?
Oh man, I love it. I like to think I'm the tough one. I'm probably not as tough as I think I am, but I think I'm the tough one. Yeah, because I want to talk to you very directly. I want you to get, no matter what age you are, I want you to be able to hear what I got to say, get it done, learn fast, move on to the next thing, so that because the world is not going to be nice to you. And though I'm really sweet, I'm probably a little firm. But all that being said, I think that my coaches are constantly speaking life. I think that my coaches are constantly telling kids how great they are, how smart they are, how brilliant they are, pulling them to think a little higher level, pulling them to critically think. We sometimes we don't even give out instructions. We're like, just you figure it out today. Like, you work together. But all that being said, I'm jumping around to say this. I have a perfect example of a student who, when we first started working with him, he was not able to go to school, and he wasn't getting, I think he had a 26% in like English. And that was pretty much all of his grades were around there, right? And we gave him an incentive at one of the facilities that I work at. We said, here's how we're going to do it. You're going to work for a little bit, and then we're going to take you to the studio for a little bit. And then we're going to work a little bit. And then we're going to work in the studio a little bit. We're going to allow you to get those brain breaks, to really be you, to really have some way to get it out of you, and really motivate you. When we find something that they're passionate about, we can get them to do anything. We just got to find where their heart is. And sometimes that takes a little bit of time. Yeah. Right? Just because they like chess don't mean they're gonna really give themselves to it. Right. So we're trying to find those spaces, and that's what I believe a lot of times we don't allow children to do. Time to just figure out what really works for you. Find yourself. It's gonna help you find yourself either way, but really find yourself in the work and in the love of what you're doing. And it doesn't happen overnight ever. You know what I mean?
I like that, because I think what has happened has been this construct of how education has been in public schools, where it's like you go to school, it's almost like kids are being taught to test, right? Mm-hmm. Not necessarily being taught to find themselves in the things that they're really, really, really good at. So the structure of public school right now has been from an old construct of how public school should be and how it has been laid out. And I'm wondering if there's going to be a shift in that going forward, because what they use in the 60s and the 70s and 80s and 90s is not necessarily what's to be happening in 2022, 2023. I mean, our kids, when you think about a global scale, our kids in public school are kind of like on a lower level when it comes to technology and robotics. I mean, they're starting to introduce those things now. But when you think about places like Asia, where they've been doing this for years, mm-hmm. we're kind of like on the back end of those things that bring forth the learning that kids need. That's going to take them further in life than, because we're going to AI. We're already in AI right now. And we're just now incorporating those things into public school. I know they're doing it in a lot of private schools, but I'm wondering what you guys are doing in your after school program how those models are going to affect how public school is going forward.
Oh, I'm glad you asked that, and I hope I'm going to be able to answer it. I want to say I got to give a couple caveats that, man, if we're going to be like China, we got to start these babies at 2 and 3. So like we're far behind on that, and maybe that for that culture it works. Over here it may not work as well. I want to go backwards and say when we teach through the culture, we have to be very careful because the culture is ever shifting, and the culture is dangerous, right? For real, culture is very dangerous because it lets us lean in on what's here as opposed to what are the facts, right?
Mm.
And so, I hope I keep my train of thought. So reading, writing, and arithmetic, we know that our kids got to learn that, and we know we want our kids to be good at writing. We want our kids to be great at math. We want our kids to be great at understanding the history of the world and prepare for the rest of the world. But we also want them to not be good writing dummies, right? You can do great
Okay,
math.
explain that. Break that down for me.
Yeah, we don't want them. We want to give them some skills that not only, yeah, they're gonna get good at math. They're gonna get good at writing. They're gonna be able to construct a sentence and a paragraph and write papers. Cool. I want them to also be critical thinkers. I want them to also be able to solve problems daily because most of their problems are not going to happen on paper. They're going to happen right around them in the house. They're going to be figuring out, in some cases, how to eat. They're going to be figuring out how to be patient and how to think through a problem. And just that, you know what I mean? And so we want to make sure that in Sparks United that we're igniting those little parts of the brain that going to class for 8 hours don't always light up, right? Giving you the power to think through a problem, giving you the power to communicate that thought, giving you the power to find a solution no matter how many times you got to try it.
Mm, mm.
We're building thinkers. We're building full real life humans.
I love that because I think what is missing, the component that I see and that I experienced growing up in public school was when I got out of college, yeah, I had a degree, but how do I apply those things in real life scenario, right? It doesn't really prepare us for the real world. So Sparks United, it says to develop a healthy and balanced lifestyle. When we were in college, people that went to college and people that even went to the army, there was no balance to our lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? When we
Definitely
went
not
to
in college.
college, you got people that were very, very students that went to class and studied and studied and studied, studied, studied. And then you had people that partied. And then there was a small group of people that might have had some balance, right? When you're in the
I was
military,
partying, by the way.
you were part. I was too initially.
I was hanging on a promenade trying to holler. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You mean to tell me that is so crazy because I was doing the exact same thing. But when I think about people, my friends that were in the military, they didn't really have a balance. It was either they partied or they were on base doing whatever they needed to do, or they were going to war, or they were exercising. So it was not a healthy balance. The other thing that stuck out to me about your program was creative intuition and mental agility. When you're talking about mental agility, you're talking about not only just critical thinking, but what about mindset, mental regulation? Because with me and working with coaching, women, what I'm learning in this coaching space and dealing with women and men, there are a lot of adults that don't have emotional or mental regulation.
Woo! Oh my goodness. My wife is a therapist. I wish you were here.
But you understand what I mean, right?
Yeah, I do. And I think, but here, let me say this. I think it's also celebrated right now. People celebrate you going off. People celebrate you going, as they call it, zerk, right? They post it. It goes viral. It gives you the courage to do more of it. Like,
Mm-mm.
you know what I mean? And it's scary. It's
It's
scary because we are not pushing each other as a community. It looks like this. We're not pushing each other to be great in the way we can. We're pushing each other to stunt. We're pushing each other to go off, but we're not really like loving on each other no more. But anyway, I'm sorry. That's a whole nother place. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to understand from a child's vantage point at Sparks United, what does that mental agility look like? What is that mental regulation? Because like you said, you're dealing with underprivileged kids who probably don't, they're seeing what their culture shows them,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Whatever social media is, whatever their environment is at home. And a lot of that is extreme
Oh,
violence,
absolutely.
extreme
Absolutely. There's
trauma, exaggerated emotions, exaggerated, thought processes. Because, like these kids, my child's generation, my daughter's generation, she just turned 21. They not really thinking about, a lot of them still go to college, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of kids now that, she's got friends that are not in school, and she's not in school at this moment, but she's got friends that make the same amount of money, if not more than I do, in fashion, in the arts. And they didn't go to school. They're selling clothes or they're selling whatever. So you've got this overnight success, millionaire mindset. And they're like, why do I need to go to school to do this? Right?
yeah.
So with that being said, what do your children get from you when you're talking about mental agility? What is that thing that you are instilling in them that makes them say, you know what, I need to regulate not only what I see, regulate what I'm listening to, and regulate what my thinking is about?
Yeah, we're super heavy on social emotional learning. We're super heavy on making sure we're able to not only communicate an idea but communicate our feelings and
Mm,
understand. And I always say to the kids that your feelings are should always be welcome, but you should always be able to tell them goodbye also. Like let them in and then say, "All right, we had our time. I'll see you next time, sadness. I'll see you next time, anger." You know what I mean? So we lean in heavy on that, but more than anything, taking a page out of my book, "No Life, No Hype," we lean in on allowing them to see that they're blessed, allowing them to see that someone cares about them, that someone's with them. This summer I usually work with Horizons, and I didn't work there this summer. I had to work with a different site, and I remember I went in and the kid said, "Man, I thought you quit on us." And it broke my heart because I'm like, why would I ever quit on you? You know what I mean?
mhm,
But but that kid always also mean to me all the time. So I was like, okay, I do mean something to you. You're noticing that I'm here. You're noticing that I'm here to love on you and give you a hard time and push you to do the things you don't want to do. And I think that's the core. That's the core.
mm,
Like
mm,
that teaching them stick to itiveness, teaching them to go beyond that point where they're comfortable,
mhm,
because we lean heavy on comfort, like as in this day and age. I feel like an old
mhm,
person saying that.
mhm,
We lean heavy on comfort and figuring out disciplines, finding ways to become disciplined in our lives. That is I keep saying but that is the core of what we do, because you can't accomplish anything if you don't have any discipline.
mm. What are some
So,
of the
and that's
ways?
actually, as a believer, that's all the Bible is teaching us. It's to become disciplined so you can live your best life.
Mm,
That's it.
what are some of the ways that you teach your students to have discipline? Because if there's anything that people do not have a lot of, and that is discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or they have discipline and not being disciplined. You know what I mean? Like it's 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 extreme, but a lot of people will, like, they might have discipline to get up to go to work, right? But they don't have discipline to meal prep. They
Yeah.
might have discipline to have a routine every single day when it comes to going to a job or going to school or whatever, but they don't have discipline when it comes to being able to emotionally regulate when they're interacting with others. They don't have discipline. So how do you teach your young kids? Like, I love the fact that you said you can introduce those feelings, but you also got to say goodbye to them. I love that because I'm learning. I'm having this thing about anger. I've been studying anger for the last month or so. And what I've learned about anger is that we were taught to almost like dismiss anger.
Absolutely.
Like, you can't be angry. You don't have time to be angry. You got to get your life together. You got to, suck it up, buttercup. Like, you basically have to dismiss those feelings, those emotions. So what it has done in my age group has created a lot of emotionally disconnected people.
Right.
And either they're mute or they're explosive, but there's no like gradual steps from one to the other. It's just one or the other. There's nothing in between, right? So my thought process on anger is just like you said. I can say hi to anger. I can acknowledge that this is my feeling. I can sit with it for a little bit, but at the same time, I also have to turn it into something else. I can't just let anger linger, right? Yeah. And like you said, I love the verbiage that you use. I got to say goodbye to these feelings. Is that the verbiage that you use with your little ones?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The littles, that's what I call them. Yeah, you got the littles, right? You can say hi, invite them in, feel what you got to feel for a second, then say goodbye. You got to say goodbye to them. You can't hold on to that all day. And usually I got that much time to connect with a lot of kids. So I'm like, get out of that so we can get into this. Jump out of that feeling, jump out of that emotion so we can get into the good part. You know what I mean? And when they get to the good part, they forgot that they even felt the crazy. Same way we are. Most people, this is very sad. A lot of us find a place in life and we don't move past that. We find a place where we were hurt or where we excelled. And we find that sweet spot, and it's very hard to step forward. But it's even harder when it's hard to learn, when it's hard to have an adult connect with you that you can move forward. You know what I mean? It's hard when you are a kid, a boy who don't have any men in your life that you can trust. Or when you're a kid, or you're a girl who don't have any women in your life who are excelling that you can say, oh man, I want to be like her. It's hard. So we're here to push them forward into that next step. And guess what? We're not creating Mozarts. We're not creating Picassos. Prayerfully we are. We're just getting their brains moving. We're just starting the process. God's going to do the rest. Like, we're just being vessels to say, hey, here's the door. Here are the gifts. Here are the tools. If you cultivate this, it's going to become everything you want it to be. You know what I mean?
So you're giving them that safe space. I love how you say that. Social fluency in a safe and nurturing environment.
Yeah.
How important for children is it to have a safe and nurturing environment?
I saw something on the internet today where this guy was petting a bull. And it said like something to the effect of the bull was super dangerous. And he said, but if you treat it with kindness, don't stress it, and love on it, it'll become the most gentlest beast you can find, right? I think that's about everybody. If we're treated with kindness, love, respect, all the fruit of the spirit, all those things that really give life, you're gonna be your best self, right? And if your experience is elevated, then the people around you who experience you, their experience is going to be elevated. And that's what we're working to do. We're just working to give these kids a space and a family that is there to really lock in with them, push that brain forward, and give them a whole lot of love. You know what I mean?
I love that. And I think that a lot of times what adults are missing in their lives is reconnecting to that childlike nature inside of them that brought forth joy. Because when you think about kids, right, kids are not really jaded because they haven't had those life experiences yet. So little kids, they just live their life just unapologetically, and everything is just like peaches and ice cream, and it's like everything is just yummy to them, right? Everything is yummy. And what happens is, as we grow older, we have these life experiences that jade us and jade our thought process. And we lose and disconnect from that joy, which is what Heal Black Joy is about. Getting back connected to the joy. And what I see in you and what I've always admired about you, like when I think about you, I always think about you smiling, because you're like this adult, but you're also like this big kid. You're like this person that spreads joy in every single scenario, like every single picture, every single post, everything that I've seen that you do. And I've watched you over the years on social media, and it always brings joy. It always brings light. Has that always been the case with you growing up? Like have you always been connected to that joy, that inner child?
I'll say this again, like you said, like I said before, some things are caught, not taught. My mom is all joy. My mom is all fun. My mom is all good times, but she's like one of the wisest people you'll ever meet, and she does it so passively. She's like hitting you with nuggets all the time. So I think leading up to my 30s, or in my early part of my 30s, I had a area in my life where I wasn't really seeing the blessings, really seeing what God was doing for me. Had a lot of regret, had a lot of spaces where I'm like, I should be there. Why didn't I do that? Man, I should have did that differently. And as I began to grow and I began to want to be more purposeful in my life, joy came. And that kind of overtook me. I was like, oh my goodness. Like you said, like a kid, I want the curiosity without the impulsiveness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm working to have, like that joy of a child, because we're on earth one time. We gotta have a great time doing it. We got to.
You not only have to have a great time doing it, but you also want to carry that on and connect with other people that still have that spark of joy, right? Because light attracts light. I think that when you have that joy, you will start attracting those things, those people, places, and things and opportunities that you desire, because you live your life in a vibration of joy.
Come on, that's really no lie. I'm not even smart enough to think on that level, but absolutely true. The more joy I have, the more I lean into blessings and really being thankful and grateful for everything.
Yeah.
The more God says, I just want to give you a little bit more. I just want to give you a little. I know you're crazy, but let me give you a little bit more. Let me move you a little further. And I'm like, okay, I'll go.
Not even let me give you a little bit more, but let me show you a little bit more.
Yeah.
Let me show you.
Hold on. Not even let me give you and let me show you, but let me show you and let me trust you. Let me show you what I can do with you and through you, but also let me trust you over just a little bit more than I trust you with before. And that's where the joy is, man. That's where we're winning, because we're getting a chance every day to provide hope. We're getting a chance every day to lean into someone's life and say, I love you. Hey, I know today you cussed me out. It's okay, because you spent today here with me. That means you didn't get in no trouble. You got fed. You know what I mean? Like somebody loved on you. I'm okay with all of that. We are blessing lives.
Yeah.
Every day, 5 days a week.
Every day.
I love that.
Shout out to Diana Nicole. She said, it's the trust for me. That's a word. I know that's right.
Praise
With
him.
God trusting you with. And when I say God showing me, I'm saying like sometimes, like you were saying that you didn't see the blessing during that period of life. But when I think about my, like I told you, Heal Black Joy presents Soul Food and War. When I think about those war moments or those valley moments, when you're in the valley, you don't be seeing the blessing.
Never do.
You don't see the blessing, but the blessing a lot of times is right there in front of you. But because you're so consumed with the war of it all, that you don't even see it. So sometimes God has to show you from a different vantage point, and you could be looking at the same situation, just looking at it through a different lens. And that's what I wish people would grasp onto. Like, joy is not about just walking around hunky-dory every single day. Joy is a knowing inside of your soul that is not contingent upon an emotion, because your emotions are going to go up and down, right?
Every day.
But inside of that soul, God gives you this internal thing that says, you know what? I know I'm going to be all right.
Yeah.
Regardless of how I
agree.
feel, regardless of what's going on, regardless if I can't see it, regardless if it ain't coming my way quick enough, I still know that I'm going to be okay. That is what joy is really all about. I want to get to this question.
Let's do it. I want to answer it.
So I told you that I changed my podcast from just being Heal Black Joy to Heal Black Joy presents Soul Food and War. So how it became Soul Food and War, I was on a Clubhouse and somebody asked me, how was my healing journey? And I said, sometimes it feels like soul food and sometimes it feels like war, right? You got your high moments and you have your low moments. Yeah. But I think when you think about the whole totality of your healing journey, you got to think about it, not just the war and not just the soul food, but everything in between. Because your healing journey is not linear. It's going to go up and down and up and down and around and around and around. So in doing this work in your after school program, can you give me an example of a war moment? Like, what is something or difficulty you have in doing or finding your work that you do? What is it difficult?
I would love to talk. I got a lot. There are a lot of challenges, but we call them opportunities. A lot of opportunities for success. And one of them is funding. We're great at finding funding. I got a great team. Shout out to Miss Vanessa. Shout out to Mario. Shout out to, I'm going to miss somebody. So shout out to those two especially. Shout out to Diana Nicole too for always being a helping hand. But we were able to serve a lot of great places. There are some places we want to serve that we can't. Okay. So funding is always a problem, because if they didn't got the money to bring it, sometimes it's hard to get people to volunteer. It's hard to get people to give their time like that. And I think another challenge we have is time. The ability to spend time with them for real. Like to really have time to get to know the children, because it all takes time. It's all time. You know what I mean?
How long do your kids stay in the program?
Well, it's just according where they are. So in some spaces, it could be up to 5 or 6 years. In some spaces, it could be 3 years, a couple of years. They're different sites that have different needs.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
Ma'am. But another challenge. I got more challenges.
Okay, give me a couple of more.
More challenge. I'll give you one last challenge: getting the parents invested.
Ooh.
Like, some parents are like, oh, it's cute, my daughter learn how to play piano. I'm like, cool. Now get her back here so that she can learn more. Like, don't take her home early every Tuesday. Let me have that time. Let us have that time, So getting the parents invested is always, it's not always a challenge, but it has been a challenge at times. So we're grateful for the parents who are there with us walking through it.
That walk through it. Okay, that is a war. Those are wars, not necessarily wars, but difficulties or challenges, as you say.
No, that's a war.
That's a war.
That's a war.
Okay. What is the yumminess? What is the soul food of the work that you do?
The soul food of the work that I do is several things with that. I think one of the best ones uh, is dealing with children or young teens mostly who are absolute buttholes to me every day, and they come back the next day, and they come back the next day, and they come back the next day, and I'm like, man, they love it here, and they just can't be nice to me. I like that. That lets me know that I'm giving them a sanctuary. That lets me know that our team is giving them sanctuary. That lets me know that we're doing something right in their life. We're giving that love, whether they want to take it or not. Um, it it really makes the program stand on something, and that's
It,
hard.
that is, I love that because when you say that they can treat you a certain kind of way, they could be going through, kids go through so many things that they don't even speak on,
Yeah,
especially right now with social media, the way that it is. Kids, kid suicide is rampant right now because of what they see in social
yeah,
media, things that they're comparing themselves to other kids or what they have or versus what they don't have. There's a lot of bullying going on in schools. So the fact that you create that safe and nurturing environment, even though they come in and not necessarily know how to engage with you per se, but you're creating a safe and nurturing environment for them to be.
yeah,
And I think
yeah.
that's
I mean,
important.
and you have to remember, teenagers go through a different emotion every 15 minutes.
Oh yeah,
They're in
absolutely.
love, they're in hate, they're in everything, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you got to give that grace, and that's the hardest part is giving the grace that you would want, giving the grace you want me to give your child. I don't have any children to my knowledge, just plain. I have no children, but but I have a brother who's 14. I have a sister who's a senior in high school, right? So I'm seeing it firsthand. How do I want them to treat my brother and sister? Well, I want them to
Mm,
be stern. I want them to get the best out of them, but I want them to be kind. I want them to be gentle, and I want them to have a lot of love, no matter how he acts.
mm-hmm,
They gotta have composure and love at all times.
mm-hmm. What do you think is if you were to see yourself, I know, and we're going to get to what you're working on, but for the program itself, if there was something that if you had a magic wand that would benefit Sparks United, what would that be and how could the community become a part of it?
If I had a magic wand, I would look for more instructors. I would look for people who love everything. I would look for people who want to make clay. I look for people who want to tap dance. I look for people who want to do karate. I will look for people who can offer so many things that you can't say no. There's something for every child. Um, just given the opportunity or an ability to give opportunity for every child I know to try something that they may not want to try, even if it's just for a couple months. Try something because you never know what that's going to lead to.
Mm,
You know what I
mm.
mean?
I know you speak of your mom often. What is the best piece of advice that she's given you when it comes to doing the work that you do right now?
Oh, guard your heart. That's it. That's the best piece of advice, period. Guard your heart. Love strong, guard your heart. But let me speak about my wife too.
Speak about your wife. Speak
Speak
on.
about my gorgeous, beautiful, brilliant wife. Um, she's very gentle, and she actually exemplifies patience at a high level all the time, right? So
Mm.
she's teaching me because she's dealing with me every day. So
Oh my
she's
God.
I know, right? So she's teaching me in so many ways how to walk in grace, how to allow space for people to figure out themselves. Um, And I take that forward. I always push that forward because I know that I work best when I am able to find it myself. And sometimes people just need the time, you know. So when I think about the best advice is really guard your heart, but allow grace. You know
The
what I
two
mean?
women in your life teaching you two of the greatest life lessons.
Yeah.
Guarding your heart and allowing for grace. That is awesome. I know that you are doing something super duper spectacular in Rome, Georgia. I
From
want you
Georgia.
to talk and speak to us about what it is that you are doing and that what you're trying to accomplish in Rome, Georgia. And I have your website, so I want everybody to please be aware and go to www.douglaswhatley.com and then become a part of this wonderful individual's campaign. So I know that you are currently running for office in the Rome, Georgia area. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about it.
Man, I would love to talk about it. I was born and raised in Rome. I had a great childhood in Rome. Like I said before, we weren't rich people. We weren't necessarily poor people either. But we had access to the city in a way that I didn't know that my friends didn't have until a lot later on in life. But with that being said, I knew that as I got older, I wanted to be back in Rome. I wanted to be closer to family. I wanted to be giving life to a place that gave me so much life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's why a few years back, got some space in Rome, made sure I was back up there. And I just see there's some blind spots. Now, I think that Rome does a heck of a great job. And I think some of those victories are not celebrated as much as we should. And I think some of those missteps are escalated a little higher because that's just how people are. But I also think there are opportunities. I think there are opportunities for us to give some of those things that I was given. You know, when I was growing up, there were men mentors that would come to our school every week, and I didn't qualify to be with those mentors, but my friend was going, so I was like, Mama, I need to go over there so I can hang out with my friend JP.
Right.
But through that, I went fishing. I went camping. Two things. Well, I haven't gone fishing that much, but camping. I love camping now because of that experience. I had a coach that would come to my house every fall and say, "Hey, you're going to do something. You're not going to sit at home. You're going to do this." And I was like, and I would argue the entire time. I hate this so much, and I go out and have the time of my life, and I make friendships, and I grow a little bit more. You know what I mean? And I think that experience is amazing. But I'm gonna go a little further. Then I went to private school, and I went to a school called Darlington. And in that school, I was able to really see a lot of different things that I had not had access to before. And I don't want people to have to pay for that high level education. I want people to get some of that just because you're alive, just because you're breathing. I want to be able to service some of those things to you. But it takes a lot of community. It takes a lot of investment from our community and from our teachers and from our parents. It takes a lot of communication. It takes a lot of listening and not talking at each other, but really being empathetic and hearing those challenges and hearing how we can help and grow together. And I'm here for it. Because the good thing is there are 6,000 students in Rome, in the Rome City schools. There are 1,000 teachers, and they all need support. And if I can be a voice, if I can be an advocate, if I can empathize and really support them and make sure these kids are safe, make sure these kids are growing, make sure these kids are coming out of school, critical thinkers, and problem solvers the best way I can by being one voice, I'm with it. I'll do it. So yeah.
I believe that Rome, Georgia needs someone like you.
I believe everyone needs someone like me, but Rome, Georgia's lucky to get someone like me.
Yeah. I think what's missing in schools and school systems and on school boards is the creativity and those that have a voice, not just have a voice because you're a parent and you want to influence what your kids are doing, but also have a more well-rounded thought process when it comes to education and what our kids need as far as their education is concerned. And I believe that from your vantage point, from your experience, from your joy experience, I believe that you are such a likely candidate and such a qualified candidate to be a part of the school board because of your experience, because of what you not only experienced as a child, but what you are doing to incorporate those things that when you were growing up as a child, you're incorporating those now in your business in the inner city of the Atlanta metro area. And I think that is awesome.
Hey, well, I'm blessed, and I want to say that the beauty of the Rome City Schools is that they got a great new dynamic leader, visionary. Sat down and talked to him a few days ago. Has some great plans. I I hope that the city trusts him to do some great things to elevate the city. They got some great leaders already on the board. I just want to be a part of the number. You know what I mean? I want to be a part of. I want to be a helping hand, and I'm doing it every day. You know, I'm with kids every day. I'm seeing the challenges every day. And if I'm not seeing it, we're doing a report on it every day. You know, we're doing stats on it every day. We're seeing it in some shape, form, or fashion every day. And I think that those experiences are valuable. I think that I'm already invested because I want to see the city win. Why? Because when they win, I win. You know what I mean? When I see people, when I see my cousins doing well, I'm
Your
doing well.
community. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
That's
doing
very important. And I think a lot of times people need to have fresh eyes when it comes to the educational system in in their respective towns. I think that um, we can't keep doing business as usual in order to get different results when it comes to education for our children because we got some work to do when it comes to building up our communities
we do.
education wise, and I think that having fresh eyes and having a fresh approach when it comes to our education for our children is a must. So
Absolutely.
I'm glad that I was able to expose our Hill Black Joy tribe to you, not only to you, but also to what you do each and every day for the students in Metro Atlanta in your business, Sparks United. I am so proud of you. I'm so excited to see
Oh
what you're
man,
going to
thank you.
do from here on out.
Thank you so much. I want to say to you, thank you. Because when you released your book, I came to you asking for advice on how to do a few things. You were so generous, you were so kind, and you never treated me like anything less than a great friend. And
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I
Oh,
really
you're
appreciate that.
welcome. You're welcome. What can we look forward to from you in the future besides you running and winning? I'm speaking that over
Oh, well,
your life.
yeah.
What are
Next
you
will
working
be
on?
world domination.
You
No,
are so crazy.
you know what? I'm so blessed right now that I'm pushing sparks. Well, I'm working sparks. And that's where my heart is right now. And when there's a tug somewhere else, we'll go somewhere else. But I think that God has gave me some alley oops and God has gave me some blessings and I'm trying to give some blessings out. And as long as I can do that, I'll be doing it.
Awesome. I have a couple of questions and it's
Come on.
about what is behind you. So I want
Oh
you to
man.
tell me what is on your board and then we're going to
Oh
close out.
yeah, I would love to.
Yeah.
I have up here remember to love,
Okay.
kindness goes a long way,
Yes.
and pray more than you speak.
Are those your mantras?
Man, they're my mantras for this week. I'm trying to stay focused. I try to change it quite often. But yeah, they I think they all speak I think they all speak a good message. I think they're pretty self-explanatory. But the best one is the bottom. Pray more than you speak. You know, take time to oh, there she is.
There's your beautiful wife.
Oh man. She's catching a flight right now, so I'm so grateful that she even thought to get on here and be here with me. It's actually making me it's breaking my heart in the best way. I
Oh.
love her. Yes. So yeah, it's all about growth. It's all about discipline. That's what life is about. That's what I'm teaching. That's what I'm trying to teach forward. And that's what I'm trying to really teach me. I say it out loud because I got to get it in me too.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I think this has been such an awesome conversation to have with you because one, we know each other. We've been friends for a few years, and just to see the growth of what you and I are both doing in this space, you're educating in one way and I'm educating in another. But I think as a collective, I think the tribe itself, and when I say tribe, I'm talking about people that are trying to push not only our culture forward, but also expose joy in such a fun, loving, and powerful way.
Yeah.
And you're part of that. So I'm so excited to be on this journey with you.
Oh man, I'm so blessed to just even call you a friend. I'm gonna give one more shout out. When we did our show, we did it at Agnes Scott. This is my wife's alma mater, so I know wife Agnes Scott brought us together. I think that's the only time I've actually been on the campus too. Was that time
Really?
until like the other day? Yeah. So
Wow.
that's pretty awesome.
Wow.
But yes, going back to what you're saying, yes, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for you to even spend an hour talking to me because you could have had a lot of famous people and you chose little old me,
Little old you.
little old Dougie. So
Look,
thank you so much.
I don't think it's strange that we come together on this particular plane about what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I know in the future it's not going to be little old Dougie. I know what you're going to be doing in the future. I know what I'm going to be doing in the future, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
Oh man, we're gonna be at the top together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wearing
So we have
European
to do
cut
this
suits and
again.
stuff. You said what now?
I said we have to do this again.
Oh, I would love to. Please have me
Absolutely.
back. And let me say, I'm so proud of all this. I've been watching you. It's actually pretty cool, and I'm a fan.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for
Thank
just doing
you.
that what you do.
Thank you, Hill Black Joy Tribe, for always tuning in each and every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Douglas Whatley, thank you so much for your time, for your joy, for your expertise, and for your love for our children in
Oh man,
education. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
thank you for having me, and be
You're
blessed.
welcome.